You're on. And
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And as students trickle in, they'll get the information that they need. Okay, so this is an information meeting in preparation for the Global Legal Hackathon that will be held February 22nd to 24th this month. The Phoenix version or the Phoenix location for this hackathon will be here at the Sandra Day O'Connor College of Law at Arizona State University in the Buse Center for Law and Society. And for this meeting, what we really wanted to do is just kind of give an overview of what the hackathon is all about, how you can get involved, and what you need to know. So I guess first to introduce, my name is Josh Abbott. I'm the Executive Director of the Center for Law, Science, and Innovation here at the law school. We are hosting the event. We're hosting the event as part of the Global Legal Blockchain Consortium, of which the law school is a member. And I'm here with Jay Carpenter of Desert Blockchain. He'll introduce himself in a moment. I just wanted to go over a few basic pieces of information. I mentioned already where it is. We'll be starting, like I said, on February 22nd. It's a Friday. Check-in starts at 4:45, and we will hold our kickoff for the hackathon at 5 p.m. Here at the law school. It will be in room 544. And there will be instructions if you're not familiar with the building. There will be signs and directions pointing you where to go. The address is 111 East Taylor Street in Phoenix. Basic outline of the schedule, and I'm just looking off of the flyer that was sent out. If you don't have a copy, then we can get you a copy of that. So again, kickoff starts at 5 p.m. We'll have in some information. People will give a few short talks, throw some ideas around, form up teams, kind of give you instructions, and then take off and start your project. A couple of points I want to hit on first. One is you do not need to know how to program to be a part of this hackathon. You don't need to be a developer or a computer science major or a student. You do not have to be a lawyer or a law student. All you need is curiosity and interest, and come show up, and you can join a team, or you can kind of watch and see what people are doing. But there are no prerequisites other than interest for this event. And we'll have more information, and we'll be able to answer any questions that people might have. But kind of with that little intro, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to, assuming he's ready, to Jay Carpenter to talk a little bit more about blockchain and kind of how the hackathon will work. Okay, Jay?
cool. Josh, do you know how I can switch this from this computer to that computer?
Sure, I can.
So thank you for your time and attention. I'm Jay Carpenter. I run Desert Blockchain. I'm the founder of Desert Blockchain. And we are the largest blockchain community in Arizona, over 1,700 members. And we're dedicated to building the community here in Arizona, both in the legal realm as well as other realms. And the opportunity out of this hackathon that's coming up on February 22nd, 23rd, and 24th is to start to bring focus to legal applications, not only here in Arizona, but globally. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share a few things that might be of interest to you regarding what you might get out of this event, which is basically to connect with other people in Arizona that share a common interest in creating something new in the realm of legal applications for decentralized web, blockchain, distributed ledger technology, and so forth. And you'll also have an opportunity to learn as well as connect with others. And you'll have an opportunity to maybe come up with an idea with other people or on your own in terms of a workable approach for a new realm of legal applications that could basically address many of the issues that are currently pending in the legal world today. So I highly, highly encourage you to participate in this event. Again, as Josh said, even if you don't know how to code, we definitely plan to have people that do know how to code that can help you, show you some avenues. I'm going to show you some avenues today that will be of interest to you. And the point of this event is not really to win per se. You will win if you participate. And from the social connections, the professional connections, from learning about something, and from starting to think about how can this new realm of decentralized technologies be applied in an area that I assume is very much of interest to you. So with that, I'm going to, and I'm also I'm recording this and live streaming and so forth. I'm going to start by sharing my screen, and so that this is on the recording, but I'll show the flyer and talk a little bit about how we'll be approaching the event. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's share. So this is the flyer for the event, and we'll start it off on the 22nd, Friday evening, basically with an event to get people together and form teams if they choose to do so, and start to ideate around different projects that might be tackled at this event. And maybe you already have an idea, maybe you already have a team. This is a great place to come and share that idea, start looking for other people that might be interested in getting involved with your project. And basically, we don't have a cutoff time, but I'm guessing, after a couple hours, 2 or 3 hours, we'll probably say, okay, you're on your own. And then to bring it back together on Saturday and Sunday, we will have basically lunch and learns, where just like this, where the teams can come together. We'll have some talks on topics of interest, and just basically to bring people together, give you a break from whatever you're working on. Again, after a few hours of talks and lunch and so forth, you're free to go or collaborate online and so forth, collaborate virtually if you want to. Then Sunday, we'll come back again, starting at 8 a.m. and at 1:30 p.m. we'll start with pitches and judging, and then at 3 o'clock we'll be basically determining some sort of set of awards. But this is a global initiative, so this is going to be happening simultaneously around the world, which opens up some opportunities to connect with other people around the world at other law schools and so forth. And this is the first time this has been taken on at ASU Law School, but it's really designed to be the start of more events like this, at least on an annual basis. And if you are a lawyer or a law student or in the legal community, maybe you're a judge or part of the judicial system in whatever respect, there is a phenomenon that's happening right now where law, policy, governance is starting to merge with the technology. And if you're not already aware of it, being introduced to some of these coding constructs, I think, can be very, very helpful to whoever is in the law practice today. So that's kind of the opportunity set. Let me introduce you to a few things to get started with. If you've never heard of blockchain, or even if you have heard of blockchain and you think you're pretty familiar with it, I'm going to show you a few things that can be an introduction to blockchain and an introduction to ways to actually build your own blockchain, start to code blockchains, and start to create some things. So let me switch over to the first item, and this is recorded on a Google Hangout, and you're welcome to see this. I plan to put this together in a PowerPoint presentation before the event. But this is something called Blockchain Demo by a fellow named Anders Brownworth, who's with a company called Circle. And I'm going to just kind of show you on YouTube. We won't play this, but there are videos associated with this set of introductions to blockchain that I think are very, very good. In fact, you can see that there's been almost a million views of this introductory video. But let's just start with this first one, which is about hashing. And if you're not familiar with hashing, that's fine. I'm going to basically skip back one. So hashing is a very, very powerful construct. And if you're not familiar with it, you can do this at this website, which is anders.com/blockchain. And you can actually go on the website and start to play around with this yourself. But if you look down here, you'll see this long string of numbers and letters and so forth. Watch what happens when I start to type in this box. So I'll put my name in, J. You see every letter that I put in starts to change. And it matters if it's uppercase, lowercase, whatever. But as I put in or take away letters, you see this long string of numbers and letters and so forth changes. Now, why is that interesting? Why is that powerful? Well, it's powerful because of this. This thing called hashing, which is like a digital fingerprint of a document, can indicate instantly that something has changed in a document. And it can be a huge document. In fact, it could be as big as the Library of Congress. So imagine all the information that's in the Library of Congress, and imagine if one comma was changed to a period. You would instantly know that. And think about that in a legal use case, because in a legal use case, this is a way to check and be sure that the document you think you are using is in integrity and hasn't been changed, hasn't been modified. And this can be very, very powerful. And I'm going to talk about something called the interplanetary file system at the end of this, where this is one of the tool sets that you can play around with and start to build some very, very powerful constructs that can add security, add integrity, and by integrity, I'm talking about engineering integrity to your legal documents and legal realms. And I think it's an opportunity for new revenue models for law firms, for attorneys, and for the whole legal world. And I'll talk a little bit about that as well. But this is if you're going to start someplace with an introduction to blockchain, this is the place to start. And you can watch this video. You'll see the URL basically up here, and that's it. You can go to that, play around with it. And the videos are excellent. They take a little time. First video is about 18 minutes, but it's well worth the time to watch it. And Anders Brownworth steps you through hashing, how hashing works. He makes some of the points that I just made, and then he'll continue to talk about how a block is formed, how blockchains are formed, how they're distributed tokens, and it's a very, very powerful introduction to blockchain and decentralized web and decentralized distributed ledger technology. So let's take a look at the next step. This is something called SovG coin. And this is a way to build a bare bones basic blockchain in about 70 lines of JavaScript. And this fellow SovG actually goes through in a set of videos, and here's the first video, create a blockchain with JavaScript. And in a very short period of time, he actually codes the entire 70 lines of JavaScript to give you a blockchain, or at least the start of a blockchain that you can start to play around with and actually build things. So I highly recommend this. He's expanded this to include mining rewards, proof of work, and then signing transactions. And signing transactions, again, if you are a lawyer or in a law firm or in the legal community, the power of doing signatures and escrows and something called multi-signatures, which I'll talk about in a bit, is something that I think is going to be a key part of the legal practice in the future. So the next step is something called naive coin. And this is more robust. This is also in JavaScript, and this is the repository on GitHub. But this is basically a way to build not only a blockchain, but also a wallet and do signatures and transactions, a limited amount of signatures and transactions in a more robust blockchain construct. And you can actually get into the code, but this is well documented. There aren't the videos that go with this, but there is the code. And I actually taught a course in blockchain at a local university last semester, and we'll talk about this on the weekend of the hackathon. But there's a way to add a front end on this so that you can actually tie in Internet of Things. You can control this from a smartphone without downloading an app, which I think is very, very powerful. So naive coin is a great way to build something, prototypes, start to do like a proof of concept. Very inexpensive, and this is an ideal tool set for the hackathon in my view. Now, keep in mind that the things that I'm showing you, with the exception of IPFS at the end, are not production ready. So you wouldn't want to take this and immediately try to put it into production. So the next step is something called, let me close this. This is how to build a blockchain in less than 200 lines of something called Go, or Golang. And Golang, or Go, in my view, is the language of choice for blockchain. So there's something called the Interplanetary File System, and I'll show you their website at the end of this. But they are emerging as one of the most powerful platforms for file sharing, for building blockchains, for doing a new way to network and do communications, including video communications, that use some of these concepts. And this is a blog post that was created about a year ago by a company that is in the healthcare realm. And the developer or developers that work for this company called Coral Health, which is combining IPFS, the Interplanetary File System, distributed peer-to-peer construct with blockchain to create something new in health records. So health records really are very much akin to legal records. So this set, and we're not going to go through all the blog posts, but there's about 5 or 6 blog posts that you can read and then start to code from. This is a very powerful way to look at this thing called blockchain decentralized constructs and start to think about how could this be applied to the legal realm. In fact, some of the comments on these blog posts are from attorneys and people that are interested in using the elements that are put forth in these blog posts in the legal realm. So this is kind of the more advanced way to approach the hackathon. And one of the blog posts is this, which is learn to securely share files on the blockchain with IPFS. Why is this important? Well, this is really, really important, not only from how are we going to manage legal records in the future, but it's also from a standpoint of cybersecurity. So today, the way we manage records within a law firm or other realms is we have something called perimeter security. So we've got our data inside like this, let's call it circle, or you might think of it like a library. And the way we protect that data is we try to harden this perimeter. So we try to keep attackers from getting past this border. Sort of like having the front door to the library locked, and you only let in certain people into the library in order to access the books and records and so forth in the library. But what happens, and it's becoming a daily occurrence, is these perimeters are being breached by a number of methods, by basically adversaries, we'll call them. This is today. The future, in my view, is hinted at in this article, this blog post called Learn to Securely Share Files on Blockchain with IPFS. How's this different? Well, in the future, instead of having this centralized repository of data that we're trying to protect, imagine that all the data is distributed on a peer-to-peer basis, and it's being shared in all kinds of ways, back and forth, and it's being backed up, and there's this network like this that's all working in harmony, in conjunction with one another, and you've got this web of decentralized peer-to-peer file sharing. Well, that's great, but how are you going to protect the data that's in this constellation of peers? Well, the way to do it, and what's pointed out in this article, is through encryption. So that hashing thing that I showed you in the anders.com/blockchain, if you just put a file into the IPFS interplanetary file system, everybody can see it, which has its advantages. But what this post is advocating and basically proposing is if the file is encrypted, you can still do that hash technique to it, hold it in the IPFS constellation as an encrypted file, and it's only the people that have the private keys that can decrypt it. That becomes very, very powerful and opens up a whole new realm. And the other thing that's possible is you can do, let's say, 2 of 3 signatures. So what does that open up? Well, that opens up escrow. That opens up trust. And by trust, I'm talking about conventional trust mechanisms like trustees. So that basically, if something happens to Jay, then Jay's loved ones, or one of Jay's loved ones, in conjunction with Jay's attorney, can actually act on Jay's behalf. And that becomes very, very powerful as a new way for the legal industry to see a whole new path of revenue streams, in my view. The other thing about IPFS is they're developing something called Filecoin. So, and believe me, there are other people that are doing this. It's not just IPFS. I don't work for IPFS. I don't have any vested interest in IPFS. I just think it's a great project for this particular realm of future legal applications. But Filecoin is a way for law firms and so forth to monetize the storage of data in this constellation of peers and actually earn money for it. So this is not out yet, but Filecoin is a way, in my view, for new revenues to be created around legal documents and legal services. So that's kind of an introduction in terms of what you can expect from the, and just to give you, this is the IPFS website where you can learn more about it and watch some of the introductory videos and so forth. The other cool thing about IPFS is we can actually run that on a small board computer, and I plan to show this at the hackathon for sure. Maybe we'll have a session before the hackathon so that you can start to play around with something that's as inexpensive as a $35 computer called a Raspberry Pi that's about the size of a pack of cards. And Raspberry Pis can be these nodes within the IPFS world. Now, it doesn't have to be Raspberry Pis. It could be laptops, it could be in the cloud, and so forth. There's a lot of flexibility to this. But the cool thing about the Raspberry Pi is it's incredibly inexpensive. You can duplicate them all over the world. You can turn them on, shut them down, whatever, lose them, throw them away. And they become a very, very powerful way to approach data and networking when you imagine this whole group of Raspberry Pis sort of working together with one another. So that's the IPFS website. Stop screen sharing here, and we'll just basically wrap it up. Sorry about that. So that's what we have in store. And this, again, this is the start of a new realm of exploration, both here at ASU Law School as well as within the general Arizona legal community, where something new, something powerful can be created. And this global legal block or hackathon is your way to participate and get involved. So Josh, anything else you want to say?
Yeah, just for a quick review of anyone who missed the beginning or didn't get the information that you need. The hackathon starts next Friday, February 22nd, here at the law school, 5 p.m.
Is that next Friday or the?
Sorry, 2 Fridays. 2 Fridays. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I'm trying to get things straight. Okay, 2 Fridays, 2 weeks from today, here at the law school. Teams will work together for starting then through Sunday, and in the afternoon on Sunday we'll have our presentations and judging. We'll announce the winner. The way it works is that the winner out of this location will then go on to essentially kind of a regional competition. There are 22 countries and 45 cities involved at the very same time in this hackathon, and I think the finals will be May 4th, but you can find all the information you need on globallegalhackathon.com, and you can also register for free for the hackathon that we're holding here in Phoenix. If you have any questions or would like to get more information, feel free to contact me. I am at josh.abbott@asu.edu, josh.abbott@asu.edu, and I will be happy to talk to you. So with that,
Is there a social media, Twitter handle or whatever that people can follow on this, Josh?
That is a great question. I believe there is, but I don't have it right in front of me.
So when we get that social media information, I'll post it at the below this YouTube recording that will also be available on desertblockchain.com. So,
yeah. Okay, and I think with that, that's all we wanted to cover.
Good. Thanks for your time and attention.
All right, thanks.
Join us.